We as humans spend an entire third of our lives asleep, where we sleepwalk through our dreams just as mindfully as we walk through life. On today's episode, we're talking to my friend Demi from the UK who lucid dreams quite a few times a week. So let's hear about her dream world experiences. Your lucid dreaming journey, like how long have you been into it?
A lot of people start lucid dreaming purposely, but I've had like a lot of sleep stuff, so like insomnia, sleep paralysis, so it kind of just happened naturally. So I think the first time I lucid dreamt was when I was about 8 years old, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I had to do a lot of research, and it wasn't until I was about 13, 14 that I knew it was like a thing that people do purposely.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I had a lot of natural ones as a kid. And I always thought it was cool, but I never really got
I
into it
think it's
until it.
easier as a kid because we have like a bigger imagination and we didn't. It's easier to do something when you don't know you're doing it.
Definitely. And I just always feel like kids are more connected to like the spiritual world, they're like
Yeah.
freshly out. So that's interesting.
Yeah, you haven't got like the doubts and all the negativity that you get when you grow up.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't experienced any pain, so they're more like pure.
Definitely.
So like you feel like after like you got like a teenager, you started to try to do it on purpose?
Yeah, I started looking into witchy things like Wicca and crystals and all that. And then when I was doing that research, I started realizing there's a whole community of people that do it. And I got into it about then and I started trying those techniques like the wild technique, so the wake initiated lucid dreaming. But I didn't really have to because I could sort of just will myself to lucid dream before I went to sleep if I wanted to. So finding a whole community like the group chat that we met on was just really nice to talk to other people that do it as well.
Yeah, it is super cool. I feel like it's just something so fascinating and it's like growing a lot.
Yeah.
So like since you've been doing it for a really long time, is there any like specific dreams or even just other like out of body experiences that like really stood out to you that like really kind of taught you something?
Probably the first one that I had, I was in year 6. So it's like primary school for us. I was about 8, 9. And I remember the dream I had, I knew I was dreaming. And I was on the playground at school, but I had a big hole, like a perfect circle cut out of my hand. And I just remember looking at it and seeing like all the inside. It was so graphic. And that just, I can still remember it as if it was a memory, even though it was a dream. And it just really freaked me out, but was really interesting at the same time to see how graphic it was, despite that I couldn't possibly know what would be there.
Wow, that's interesting. So you like saw the inside of your hand, like the
Yeah.
muscles and stuff?
Yeah, it's like if you had like a circle cookie cutter and it just went straight through my hand and I could see all just the muscles, the veins, everything. And it was really
Wow.
vivid.
That is crazy. You feel like it kind of put you off to it or you made you more interested?
I think a bit of both because it freaked me out like a nightmare a little bit, but then afterwards, because I couldn't stop thinking about it, I knew it was really interesting, and I kind of wanted to do it again just to see what else I could, do.
That's cool. What kinds of things have you done in your dreams? Like what types of activities, like when you're lucid, do you feel like things that benefit you or just random fun stuff?
I use it for fun more so. I know a lot of people use lucid dreaming for, to see exactly how they can do it, see the science behind it. But I just like doing things that I think are fun. So I've gone to places that I wouldn't get to in real life. Like I've always wanted to see like Aurora Borealis. And I remember visiting it in a lucid dream and just making it up out of my head from videos I'd seen and pictures and stuff. And I thought that was amazing that it was so detailed and vivid despite never being there or knowing exactly what it could be like.
Yeah, it's crazy too, like how we can experience these things, like the ability that our brain have is insane. Like, and it's so vivid, like colors, and I can feel things and smell in dreams. Like that always fascinates me too.
It's just crazy how our bodies can react to them as if we are there when we've never actually experienced it.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's like we can literally explore the universe with our minds. Like there's so much more than what we think we know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was actually like reading the other day that some people, like you're describing, like we dream kind of in visuals, like a movie, right? Like you're experiencing it like virtual reality, but some people dream in images or like still frames. I thought that was interesting too. I wonder if there's different types of dreamers and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but in that group chat we had a talk the other day about how people see different things in the head. Like some people have an inner voice like I do, and they see pictures and words all the time. And I just found it really interesting that some people, even if they do lucid dream, don't have anything going on in the head. Like it's just pitch black and silent. And I thought that was crazy. So I bet some people dream in a completely different way than we do, and we probably just don't know about it yet because people don't really ask those type of questions.
Yeah, exactly. Like people don't really talk about it. We kind of like just push dreaming off as something that happens when you sleep, but we spend a third of our life asleep. So this is definitely something that we can all relate to and like experience in different ways. So that's why I'm kind of starting this, just to get people talking about it.
Yeah, make it a more like a bigger thing so that more people can learn to do it and we can see exactly how possible everything is, because obviously there's that argument that there's nothing scientific about lucid dreaming, it's just a dream except you know you are. But I think there's got to be something bigger behind it, just based on, like you said, the smells, how you can feel it even if you've not been there. I just think there's got to be something behind that that's more than what we know.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, the science has been growing, like the research has been growing. People have been studying it more. So it's definitely like proven that there's a lot of like psychological benefits to it. But there's still a lot of skepticism with the, astral projection and like being in the
Yeah.
dream world. So, but, me too. I'm a full believer. I'm fully obsessed. So that's
Yeah,
why we're here, really.
even in the lucid dreaming chat where you talk to people who do it as well, even they have doubts about things like astral projecting, spirituality, and it's just insane that these people can experience lucid dreaming but not think those other things are real as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I see it, it's all related. Like there's kind of like that in between space between the physical world and like the astral world. And that's kind of like where we go.
Yeah, like people always have the idea of like limbo between heaven and hell, but they can't accept something like an astral realm. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. People, I feel like, are just scared of what they don't understand. But with
Yeah,
talking about like people like you and me, like talking about people's experiences, people are going to start to see like, wow, this is real. Like I actually
yeah.
talked to somebody that met up with someone in the astral realm and they both talked about it the next day. So like, it's just
Hopefully when people hear more about lucid dreaming from podcasts like this, it makes them interested to actually try, and then we'll get more methods, more techniques. And
exactly. It'll grow over time. Like I feel like we're just like the baby dream travelers that are kind of opening it up.
yeah, definitely.
Well, that's cool. So like let's see, we could talk about what kind of like techniques do you do? Like you do this consistently, like dream journaling and stuff, or you just kind of sometimes?
I've always dream journaled, even if it's not a lucid dream. I just like writing down my dreams so I can look back at them because they're vivid. But I'd never really do techniques like wild personally. I just don't like how they work. I know they work for some people, but for me it's never worked, because if I just wake myself up and then go back to sleep, I'll rather not go back to sleep, or I'll sleep too lightly to lucid dream anyway. So I prefer just different methods. If I can will myself into lucid dreaming just based on that, then I will. But I do use a method that I've sort of changed. It's called pathworking, and I use that quite a lot.
Yeah, it's cool. I remember you telling me about it. Why don't you like explain about it a little bit so people can kind of understand?
Well, when I was researching into Wicked, there's a method called pathworking anyway, but it's based on complete astral projection. And since, as we've said, they're both so similar, I thought it could be used for lucid dreaming too. So it's basically just meditating as you would anyway to get into the states where you're prepared to lucid dream, and then using visualization techniques to see yourself in the middle of an open area with several paths going from the center point, and walking that path and using your memory and your imagination to create things along the path. Like for me, I like trees and dream catchers, birds, all that stuff. And then as you're walking, it puts you into a sort of trance state, so that when you're at the end where you fall asleep, you'll be that aware that it'll be dreaming, but you're straight away aware, so you don't have to wake up first or anything. You can just completely control your sense of REM sleep.
That's cool. So you're basically just visualizing as you're falling asleep. What if you like people start to get like distracted kind of, or your mind kind of starts to wander? How do you stay focused on like visualizing the path?
I try to tell people that if their mind starts wandering, just rather try and incorporate it into the path that you're already walking, or if you need to, it's completely okay to start again until you get the hang of it, because a lot of people have overactive minds, so they can't get it straight on. But with meditating and visualizing, it's just practice, really. You can do anything as long as you practice it long enough.
Yeah, agreed. I feel like some people get discouraged, but really it's just like working out any other muscle. You have to consistently practice and just get better at it, you know?
Definitely. I think a lot of people give up early on because I guess eventually if something doesn't happen early on, then it looks like it's not real, but it's just
Right.
having that willpower and that open mind to keep doing it even if you're not seeing results straight away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like working out for a day and not having abs yet. Like it takes time.
Exactly, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So let's see. When was the last lucid dream you had?
I think it was last week. I've not been focusing on it very much recently because I have a lot going on with college. But I had one last week that I live directly across from a big park, so I can see the park from my bedroom window. And I just remember I was lucid dreaming in this park, and there was a massive like theme park, roller coasters, water rides, all this stuff there, and it was really sunny. And it was just really nice because it's obviously been really thingy with the weather and not being able to go out. So it was just nice to have fun, even if it wasn't technically real, it still felt real. So it was really nice to have like the sun and everything and all that going on.
Yeah, that's cool. It's definitely kind of like, a little escape, like you can always just have
Especially
fun.
now.
Yeah. Um, so what else? Okay, so what other than lucid dreaming, like what kind of like experiences you have with like other out of body experiences and stuff?
I like trance work a lot, which is more to the Wiccan side of things, but it definitely ties in. And it's basically just you focus on things like I use the flame on a candle, and you just have to commit to sitting there in silence or with music, whatever works for you, and focusing on this light until your mind sort of goes numb. And it's like sleeping except a lot quicker, so it's like getting a full night's sleep in an hour, and before you know it, like before I know it, I'll be sat there for about 2 hours just completely spaced out, and then I'll get up and I'm ready to do college work, I'm ready to do chores. It's just, I think it's really great for getting that energy when you haven't got the time to sleep full like 12 hours a night like a lot of people can't.
Yeah, this is actually a crazy hack for college students. Like I'm in college too, so I totally know that feeling. Like do you
Yeah,
feel like you feel just like rested just off of doing that little meditation?
yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. So I guess that's kind of like a kind of meditation, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a form of meditation. The only difference really is that in meditation, a lot of people prefer to stay focused. So they'll do things in the mind, they'll think about things, they'll plan. And this is just, I guess, going to sleep whilst you're awake, and it gives you the same energy as it would a full night's rest.
Interesting. I'm gonna try it actually. So, but you keep your eyes open the whole time, right? You're looking at the flame.
Yeah, I mean, you zone out that much that I guess your eyes could close at some point. You wouldn't exactly know, but I just sit on my floor, light a candle, and focus, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. I'm definitely gonna try that because I've been getting less sleep lately. So
Yeah. Me too.
yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. So I guess back to the lucid dreaming. Like since you do it for fun, really.
Mhm.
Um, have you remembered any cool conversations with like dream characters or anything like really that you remember that like stood out? Like this is like amazing.
This is less lucid dreaming, more astral projecting, but although I've done methods that have proved the astral projection is working, this one was a different location, so I wasn't exactly sure if it was astral projecting or a lucid dream. But I went again to the park behind my house because it's huge, it's got this nice bridge and river and everything. And I was there and I actually met a girl there. And I remember everything about her, the colour of her hair, the colour of the clothes she was wearing, her makeup. And we talked for what felt like hours and hours all through the night, just about different things, about life, about family. And it's just stuck with me. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was about 3 months ago now, but it just completely stuck with me because I don't know if she's real or not. And yet it seemed so real. So it'd be nice if I could go back into that astral projecting state and try and find her again.
That would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories about like that. She could just be another person who was doing the same thing as you that day. How do you
Yeah,
like get to that astral projection world? Like explain what that kind of means.
it's a lot harder, definitely, than lucid dreaming, but you can use a lot of the same methods. So, as I said before, pathworking in Wicca was originally made for astral projecting, so going to the astral realm. A lot of Wiccans use it for a sort of escape. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched Sherlock, but he has this mind palace thing basically in his head. And a lot of Wiccans use it for that, where they can store information. But it's just like pathworking for lucid dreaming, except rather than using the path to get to a dream, you're using the path to get your mind out of your body and into the real world whilst your body stays there.
Interesting. So how is that kind of different from a lucid dream? Because I know some people might think it's like the same thing, but like, how do
At,
you feel?
at first, it's definitely, it takes a lot more energy and you'll need good night's rest to be able to do it. So you can't do it one night after the other in practice. But it's just, at first it does seem like a lucid dream because you'll start off in locations like your own house, so you can never know whether you're recreating it or you're actually out in the open. So personally, I've had people in my house place things in like the kitchen and not tell me what they were, just something out of place, so that when I do leave my body and explore the house after the pathworking, I can find out, I can go down to the kitchen, see what's there, see if I know what they've placed there. So I've done this before. They've placed scissors, like a cheese grater, a random vegetable, stuff like that. And then if I wake up and tell them I saw this on the side, is this what you placed out? And they tell me yes or no, then you know whether it's real or not, because how else would you know what was there?
And so you got it right all these times you tried it?
Not all the times. The first few times, not right at all. It was more of a lucid dream state, but eventually, I think after about 2 weeks, 3 weeks of just focusing on it, I did get it right. And it was a really starstruck moment because you sort of don't believe it, even though it happened. You struggle to believe it in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And like honestly, I mean that's pretty cool. Even a couple of the times it happening, that feels like pretty solid proof to me. The fact that you were asleep and you went
Yeah,
out of your body. Do you like see the process of you leaving your body and you see yourself sleeping on the bed or
I don't, because with the pathworking I actually enter through my front door. So it's more so that I'll enter through the front door, come upstairs, and see my body in the bed, whereas I'm stood away from it.
interesting. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Like, so you walk around, you are you like when you're doing the astral projection, are you kind of like limited to the real world as if you're walking around, or is it like you can kind of teleport like in a lucid dream where you can just be like, show me Egypt or whatever?
At first, it was limited to walking around, but I've gotten better. I'm still limited to inside my own town, but I have been able to actually teleport, if you can call it that, to my boyfriend's house, for example. But it's like instead of coming from the pathway to my front door, I've gone to his, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You kind of just will yourself there, right? Like
Pretty
decide.
much, because obviously going there multiple times, you know the journey anyway. So it's sort of like traveling in real life, but you've got to recreate it in your head.
That's cool. But then once you're there, you just kind of walk around from there.
Yeah, and I had him do the same thing in his bedroom that I did in the kitchen at my house. And again, the first few times it didn't work, but then time after time after time, it worked again. So now I'm confident enough to be here in my own house or there at his, and like the space in between to know that it's real.
That's cool. Have you like met up with him or anybody you know like in those astral realms?
I don't have any friends personally or him that actually do stuff like this, lucid dream or astral project. So I've not been able to know, but I really don't mind. It's a nice thing to do by yourself.
For sure, yeah. That is
Yeah,
really cool. Like it's definitely fascinating.
yeah.
Um, There's like so much within it, so much to talk about. Um, but yeah, so I guess like what is your main takeaway from everything? Like if you have to give like a lesson or something that you've learned to people that are into this kind of stuff, like what's your advice?
Just to will it out, and if you do fail the few times or however many times, just keep doing it and try and keep an open mind no matter how much you doubt yourself, because you will doubt yourself. You'll want to believe science and this and that and the basics, but just keep going, because the outcome is going to be so worth it, and it's going to make you so much happier in yourself just knowing that you can do things like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I totally think it's science related. I feel like science just hasn't caught up. Like there's so much of science that we didn't know. Like 20 years ago, we didn't even know about our own DNA. So science is catching up, you know?
It's all science. It's just things that science hasn't focused on yet, and eventually we'll get there, and it'll probably be, science just like physics is and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think we're just learning about we have the laws of physics and then there's the laws of the universe, and we're just kind of like mapping it out, really.
Yeah. Right now, if you think about it, the laws of physics are basically like the basics of what we know and can see. I think astral projection, lucid dreaming, that moves into like the laws of the universe, stuff like that, different realms. And I think it'll be really nice when science does move up to stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree because I feel like there's just different rules in that realm, you know? Like so we have our 3D experience, which is our waking life, and that has its laws of physics. But then if we can train our mind to kind of explore beyond that, we follow different laws. So
Science already agrees, I think, a lot of the time, because they do have a lot of research in the brain. I've seen a few documentaries of scientists talking about what we could potentially do if we used 100% of the brains, because obviously we don't use 100% of the brains all the time. So I think I think a lot of scientists have really open minds to stuff like that.
yeah, definitely. It's and even with dreaming, like it's kind of not really fully understood. So scientists like accept like there's so much here that we don't really know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like with all the skepticism, it's hard to get started because
Yeah.
it's just so individual to each person. But there's definitely I've heard of a lot of shared experiences, and that's kind of where the proof starts to
Yeah,
convince people.
absolutely. Yeah. When more people talk about it, it gets more interesting. It's just getting past that initial phase of people that don't like things that they can't see or aren't simple to them.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of dreaming and just even regular dreaming and lucid dreaming, like what do you feel like is the purpose and the benefits of it in your opinion? Like,
I feel like you said earlier, we spend a third of our lives asleep, and it just seems like such a waste of such a relatively short life to just be asleep and not go further into it. So I feel like lucid dreaming, astral projecting, it gives it's like the flip side of life. Like you have your awake life, you have your sleep life, and I think people should get used to this idea of having a completely different sleep life and just having that extra experience and that extra time to do things that you can't do when you're awake in the real world.
yeah, I agree. There's so much you can do. You can practice art, you can practice sports, you can just
Yeah,
have fun. Like, there's a lot to it.
yeah, definitely.
And then for anybody watching this, if you like this episode, listen to more. We're going to talk to more people about their experiences and just exploring the universe. So, yeah, I really appreciate it, Demi.
Thank you for having me. It's been really nice to talk about it.